Throughout his journey, Luffy has already defeated several enemies in pursuit of his dream of becoming the king of pirates. Many of these enemies have returned and others have not yet. But the question remains, what happened to all of Luffy's enemies after they were defeated? That's what we're going to see in this video here. If you're curious, follow me and watch this video until the end. Hey guys, my name is Lucas and in today's video we're going to see what happened to all of Luffy's enemies after they were defeated. Many have returned, others have not yet and may still return. We're going to talk about all that in this video, but we have several other videos talking about One Piece here on the channel that I believe you'll like. To watch these other videos, just watch this one until the end and I'll remind you there. For now, leave that like Azeo, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and now without further ado, let's go to the video. Luffy's first enemy as a pirate was Alvida. She ended up being defeated easily and then came back in an entirely different form after eating the Subasebe. She is currently part of the Bug Gang and can even be considered a Yonko commander. Next was the Morgan Machado. He ended up being defeated easily by Luffy and Zoro when Zoro finally decided to join the Palace Hats. What happens after his defeat is that he was escorted by the Gar's ship, but ended up fleeing using the Onapo as a hostage. But we don't know what happened to him. He's sailing the seas and hasn't appeared again. Bug ended up being defeated by Luffy when he had several parts of his body stolen by Nami and ended up being sent away by Luffy's bazooka. What happened after that was that he always pursued the Mugiwaras in search of revenge and even helped Luffy several times. It ended up becoming a Chichibukai and currently became Yonko, having Crocodile and Mihawk as its commanders. That's a step up in life, but he's currently a Yonko. Don Krieger ended up being defeated by Luffy at Baratie. After that he was saved by Gin, who promised that one day they would come back once more. Since then they never appeared again and we don't know how they are nowadays. Warlong was the strongest enemy Luffy faced back in Saint Blue. He ended up giving a lot of work in the battle between them and almost killed the drowned Luffy, but in the end he ended up being defeated too. Okay. What happened after that is that he was most likely arrested and taken to Impel Down once more, but we have no confirmation of that. I expected that he would also appear or could appear when Luffy invaded the prison, but it turned out that he didn't even show up. Luffy also faced and defeated Mr. Triover in Little Garden. After that he ended up being arrested by the Navy along with the other members of Baroque Works, but managed to escape with the help of Bunchan. The two tried to rescue the remnants of the organization, ended up being arrested and taken to Impel Down. Lyle allied himself with Buggy and together they came a long way until Buggy became one of the Yonkos. Now we can even consider him as a commander of Yonko as well. Crocodile met his defeat during the Alabasta arc, when he tried to stage a coup d'etat by instigating a civil war in the country. But what he didn't count on was that he would be defeated by Luffy and imprisoned in Impel Down. What happened next was that he ended up breaking out of prison with Luffy's group, fighting in the Marineford War, and growing up in the New World underworld as a very important agent. He currently had the idea of cross-guilt, but ended up being reduced to the mere commander of Yonko, when Buddy became more prominent on the poster, which showed him, Buddy and Mihawk. But was it for him, or was it him, who wanted to be the new Yonko? Bellamy was another one who ended up being defeated by Luffy, or rather, was slaughtered by Luffy. After his first defeat he continued working for Doflamingo, until he was almost killed by himself back in Dressros, and he was still forced to fight Luffy. After his defeat, he left the world of piracy to work as a craftsman, designing and creating the unscratchable Jolly Rogers. The Rain God was eventually defeated by Luffy when he discovered that there was a type of material that was immune to all of his electrical attacks. With the plan to go to the Infinite Vest, he ended up being defeated, but still kept the course of his journey. What happened next was he landed on the moon. Here he found several little robots that followed him after taking an absurd electrical discharge. He still defeats several space pirates and discovers the whole new technological world inside the moon, which even seems to have been made exactly for him. With this new army of minion soldiers, we still don't know or have no mention of when he will return to history, but I bet it will be soon. Blooden ended up being the first of CP9 to be defeated by the Mugiwara. This defeat came when he went to face Luffy alone, but this time all of Luffy's techniques evolved completely and he was easily defeated by Luffy in Gear 2nd. After this defeat, several members of CP9 ended up being reassigned to CP0. In the movie Red, Blue Ann is said to be part of the Cypher Pole or still part of that organization, but it has not yet been confirmed that he is from CP0. But we can imagine so, because Robloot and Kermit are now part of CP0. After him came Robloot. This one got a lot of beating in this final battle against Luffy. He took numerous attacks in Gear 2nd and 3rd, until he was defeated in the end. After the arc, former CP9 was hunted down by the Navy and had to fight back, promising to return someday, until they were recruited by CP0, mainly Robloot. His ultimate fate was to join that group and actually be humiliated by Luffy in Gear 5. I'd even summarize this whole battle between them that happened now in the manga, in the link that I'll leave on the card above or on the final screen of this video, so it's important that you watch this video until the end. Between Lair Bark, Luffy ended up having to face Moria and all his 1,000 shadows. After an extremely difficult battle and Luffy having gone far beyond his limits, Moria was eventually defeated and released all 1,000 shadows to their respective owners. After that he continued with the Shichibukai and fought in the Marineford War, but ended up suffering an assassination attempt and in the end fled. He currently appeared there in Hashinoso, Blackbeard's home island. He went after Absalon, but only to find that he was already dead. It is currently unknown what happened to him, if he managed to escape the island or if he ended up dying too, but the most likely thing is that he was forced to join Blackbeard's gang, or else it was serious death. Next is Magellan. He was one of the strongest enemies Luffy ever faced and in the end he couldn't even defeat him. His power was so overwhelming that everyone had to flee and peel down in a hurry or they would die. At the end of the arc he ended up having to face Titch's gang once again, only now with all of them prepared and with antidotes for his poison. In the end he was defeated and seriously injured. What happened next is that he stepped down as head warden of Impel Down and is now just a deputy warden of the prison. Rodianus was another enemy that also gave Luffy a lot of work, but only because of the situation in which the battle took place. First, that without his steroids he wouldn't even be a challenge for Luffy, since he was easily defeated by Zoro and underwater, but also because the battle was taking place at the bottom of the sea against an Akuma no Mi user. After being defeated by Luffy, he ended up being imprisoned by the King's Royal Guard in the Gu River and will most likely stay there for the rest of his life. But worst of all, the steroids took their toll on the strength they gave, and not only Rodianus but all his companions lost all their vitality. All of them have become decrepit old men and will stay that way for the rest of their lives. Caesar ended up being defeated by Luffy there on Punk Hazard, when his capture was essential for Lao's clan against Flamingos. In the manga, Luffy won relatively easily, unlike the anime, which made Caesar give Luffy a little trouble. I even made a video commenting on these differences between the manga and the anime, and if you want to watch it I'll leave the link on the card up here for you. What happened after that is he ended up being taken to Dressrosa, then Holy Cake, and recently ended up running away with Sanji's brothers to Jervis 660. After reuniting with Jat, they began the fierce battle that has been going on as of this video. In Holy Cake, Luffy ended up defeating his first Yonko commander. In his battle against Cracker he ended up using his tankman form and the commander was sent flying miles away, which resulted in his defeat and disappearance from the rest of the air. With recent events he ended up recovering from this defeat and went to fight Aokiji to protect Korum, which resulted in his defeat being completely frozen. He might even die if he didn't have all that ice melted and still wasn't able to protect Korum. After that, Luffy ended up fighting Big Mom, even though she wasn't his main enemy at the time, since he didn't even have the level to fight her. It turned out that at the end of the arc he had to flee and Big Mom went to Père de Uano after him. What happened next was that she ended up being defeated by Lao and the kid with their powers awakened. At the end of the arc, his final destination was to soak in magma in the subsoil of Père de Uano. Now, whether this resulted in his death remains to be seen, as it has yet to be confirmed by Oda. But by the words of Korum, Big Mom is dead. After Big Mom comes Katakuri. Against him Luffy got hit, but he got hit a lot until he managed to win in the end. For that he had to awaken his advanced observation haki and thus managed to match Katakuri's level. Using his G-Force Snake Man, he ended up defeating Katakuri, who in the end even fell backwards to confirm Luffy's victory. What happened to him after that is not known for sure. The certainty is that he is still alive and stayed in Big Mom's archipelago to protect him while she was away. He is also quoted to take over the gang if it is confirmed that she really died. To close this video we have Kaido. He is a monster who had to fight countless enemies until he was defeated. For us to have an idea, Luffy was defeated 4 times before winning, and Luffy was the strongest enemy of all who were fighting Kaido. It was only after Luffy awakened in Nika and used his awakening a second time that Kaido was finally defeated. Luffy's final blow was so powerful that Kaido crossed the entire underground of Père de Uano until it reached the same pocket of magma that Big Mom was in. Like her, we don't know if Kaido really died. If so, we can consider that Luffy killed his first enemy even indirectly, but it's still not sure if Kaido really died. And it's the most likely thing to happen. Now it's your turn to participate in this video. Already comment below which was the worst and best fate for each of Luffy's enemies. Comment down here what I'll be seeing and I'll be giving you my little heart. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, reward me with that like-a-zeo. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As I said, we have several other videos talking about One Piece here on the channel that I believe you will like. They'll be showing up here on the final screen of this video, so watch them. I say goodbye here, a hug and thanks.